The European officials are seemingly not very concerned about the possibility that the continent's green energy agenda may be vulnerable to Chinese aggression in the future. I, for one, would not want Chinese. You're just offloading your solar and your wind to be manufactured by Chinese equipment, and there is lots of gear that they can control. There's a reason Yahweh should not be in your phone system. There is a very big reason for this. Hello, everybody. Welcome to the Energy News Beat podcast. My name's Stuart Turley, President and CEO of the Sandstone Group. This is the daily stand-up for April 30th. I hope you guys buckle up. We've got a lot of stories for you today. Let's start with our first one. Dutch government scales back offshore wind to preserve fisheries. Sounds like a pretty good idea to me. The EU's green dream ignores U.S. warnings and falls into China's geopolitical grip. This story actually has an underlying story to it that I've been talking to George McMillan about this. There's a lot going on in that story. Next story, Saipem wins a $590 million deal for work on ENI's UK CCS project. I mean, their net zero and carbon capture and storage is absolutely unbelievable. Republicans are scrapping Biden's green agenda to cut energy and consumer costs. Pretty amazing there. And then when you take a look at a study blames oil for trillions in damages to bolster climate lawsuits, the only people making money out of these climate lawsuits and lawfare are the attorneys. I hate to tell you this, really, it might upset you folks that are putting these lawsuits out there, but the consumers are going to get it in the drive-through, as Joe Pesci would say. And the last one is the solar power over reliance, likely culprit in Spain and Portugal blackouts, and even into France. This story is a huge story. Mike and I talked about it on yesterday's show. I'm interviewing Robert Bryce and David Blackman together on this on Thursday, live on X, as well as it's just going to be a lot of fun. So that'll be on the Thursday, the May 1st. We're going to be going through this one, but I just want to give you a brief update on that. So let's start with the Dutch government scales back offshore wind to preserve fisheries. This is a pretty good story out of splash247.com. The Dutch government has reduced its offshore wind targets and removed one of the zones for offshore wind development to give more room to the fishing sector. They've reduced it from 50 gigawatts to 21 gigawatts. Now, what is their energy mix here in the Dutch government and what they've got? 28% of their total electricity is in renewables, 28% wind, 19% solar. Biomass is 4.3. We're not in an energy transition. We're still burning wood or dung in many parts of the world. Billions of people still don't have electricity. Fossil fuels, which is natural gas, coal, and oil, which is oil and other fossil fuels, is 1.2%. Coal is still 6.4%, and natural gas is 35%. So when you take a look at their energy mix, they need to beef up they have nuclear at 2.8%. They need to really beef up their nuclear and natural gas a little bit in order to maintain don't do what is going on in Spain and in the rest of the world. You've got to have the dispatchable or spinning power so that the turbines can spin up in order to avoid a blackout. But anyway, I thought that was a pretty interesting article. Let's go to the EU's green dream ignores the U.S. warnings and falls into China's geopolitical grip. This story has an underlying story that's not talked about it. This is written at the Daily Caller And when you take a look, it's the article talks and says the European officials are seemingly not very concerned about the possibility that the continent's green energy agenda may be vulnerable to Chinese aggression in the future. I, for one, would not want Chinese. You're just offloading your solar and your wind to be manufactured by Chinese equipment, and there is lots of gear that they can control. There's a reason Yahweh should not be in your phone system. There is a very big reason for this. It's really not a surprise that Europe has a hard time understanding the need to pivot on energy and security and serious approach to sustainability. Stephen Yates, a senior fellow for China and national security policy at the Heritage Foundation, told the Daily Caller News Foundation. How does increased dependency on the world's leading polluting nation do anything for the planet, much less for their goals, whether we agree with them or not? What a great point. I mean, they're putting out more coal, and the Great Wall of China does absolutely nothing for keeping all of their coal fumes and pollutants in. China's green energy giants, meanwhile, have been accused of engaging in unfair or predatory trade practices as well as benefiting from slave labor. The Green New Deal is really coming to light, and you're finding out that the Green New Deal is not sustainable, and the grid requires two things: physics and fiscal stability in order to run. Those two things cannot be falsified or shortchanged. If you falsify or shortchange the physics or fiscal responsibility, you will end up like what just happened in Spain, and we are going to see more of that around the world. But what this is underlying is the EU as a trading bloc is losing power. The Green New Deal, the Green New Energy policies equals deindustrialization. And we are seeing that play out in real time. China gets wealthier, the rich get richer, and then the poor and the middle class get wiped out. And this is almost all about, and could be all about, control. So the EU is trying to control the population, and the EU and the UK and Canada, I'm lumping all three of these groups in the same. What is going to happen is the trading group and importance is going to slide to Asia more and more, and India is the number one trading bloc in the world right now. You're going to have India, you're going to have other areas of importance to trade with. The EU is really should be waking up and going, the Green New Deal regimes change when high prices and energy prices happen. We're about to see not only regimes change, you're going to see trading blocks lose their viability. Let's go here to Saipem wins $590 million deal work for ENI UK CC project, carbon capture and storage project. The amount of money that the UK is spending in their energy policies to have the most expensive energy in Europe, second only to, I believe, Germany and a few others. The Italian offshore engineering and consulting giant Saipem has won a contract for ENI for work in the Liverpool Bay CCS project in the UK. The value of the contract is about £520, or 592 million over 3 years to put in a carbon capture pipeline. This comes in after less than a week than after ENI reached the financial close with the UK government Department of Energy Security and Net Zero. Net zero and the illegal imports are going to be just some of the key downfalls for the UK. And I am really sorry for all of the great UK folks that are out there. You've got some real problems coming around the corner. This is just another example of carbon capture. Why? You really don't need to look at the carbon capture per se. It is the particulate matter that is put out by the energy plants. Look to control that. Canada is one of the biggest natural green areas on the planet, and look at the forest. They're actually net zero without having to do anything. But I guess people can't recognize that. But before I get into these next couple stories, I want to give a shout out to Steve Reese and the gang over there at Reese Energy Consulting. Steve is just an absolutely class act. And when you're looking at oil and gas, if you're looking at a data center and you're saying, hey, so where do I build a data center? You need to reach out to reeseenergyconsulting.com and make sure that you say, wait a minute, where's my natural gas? How do I put in a microgrid? Where am I going to put it? How am I going to power this thing? Or do I have natural gas to sell? Do I have oil to sell? Do I need to buy natural gas? Do I need to buy LNG? Steve can actually get the molecules from the Haynesville all the way to Germany, and he knows everybody in between. So, with that, like, subscribe, and share, but also reach out to Steve Reese on LinkedIn. And I've got so many more great podcasts coming up with him and other CEOs, energy CEOs. Republicans are escaping Biden's green energy agenda to cut energy and consumer costs. I have to hand it. We have Doug Burgum, Chris Wright, and Lee Zeldin, and I applaud President Trump for letting these guys just run run after this. The next rules include an Environmental Protection Agency rule imposing a methane emission fee on oil and gas facilities that Republicans say has stymied domestic energy production. Yes, it has. Requirement that new oil and gas leaseholders on the outer continental shelf submit an archaeological geological report before they can begin offshore drilling production. And again, the Biden administration is hypocritical when it comes to taking care of the environment versus their green policies. Two Energy Department rules requiring higher efficiency standards for gas fired water heaters and walk in coolers and freezers. They were about to absolutely take all of your choice of whether or not you want to be a cook with natural gas or do you want to cook on a stove? Do you want to have access to low cost heat or do you want to use a high end coal or heating oil? You need to be able to let the markets decide. Anyway, this is an outstanding article, and this was from the Washington Times. The lawfare that's going on, this next story, study blames oil companies for trillions of dollars in damages to bolster climate lawsuits. Dartmouth study claims fossil fuels caused $28 trillion in damages. Supporters critics say attribution science serves only climate lawsuit agendas, which I agree. A CBS News report makes no mention of the D.C. court recently sanctioned man in his liable suit against two bloggers, saying he acted in bad faith when they presented erroneous evidence and made false representations to the jury and the court. You know, we've got to be factual. When you're in a lawsuit against somebody, be factual. But when you've got costing people their jobs, their lives. The only people in all of this lawfare that are making money are the attorneys. It's just absolutely pathetic. And we've seen unbelievable litigation going on around the world. The last story here is still just an update on solar power over reliance, likely culprit in Spain and Portugal's blackout. I got to give Javier Blas. He is one cool cat, a Bloomberg author, and in his X post in press conference now, Spain's prime minister says the country lost 15 gigawatts of power supply in 5 seconds Madrid time. He says the government doesn't know why so much electricity was peeled off. 60% of the lost so suddenly. But Mark Nelson on X, Spain Blackouts, an anonymous expert view from a deep group chat last night, translated from Spanish. What's happened on April 28th was a well located origin corridor was also hinting that as this spun off, it may have been, and we'll find out soon, a cyber attack on some of the SCADA equipment causing these trips. Now, when you take a look at this, Javier was also on this as well, that about 60% of the power grid was in jeopardy because they did not have enough spinning or inertia based power, which is spinning from coal, natural gas, heat, and those kind of things. So when you put one windmill on a grid, the grid needs to, I've said this a long time, the grid requires two things. It requires stability through physics. It has to obey the law of physics and have fiscal responsibility. If it doesn't have physics and apply to the law of physics and it has fiscal responsibility, grid failure will happen. You can't print money and just keep putting in subsidies. It means your energy is going to be too high priced. If physics don't apply, the load balancing authority in Spain, France, and Belgium actually failed because of the way that they were trying to balance this out. And this is becoming a huge wake up call. If you're in New York, Delaware, California, and you're in some of the other areas where you don't have a balancing authority, or you have coal, natural gas, nuclear base load capacities, you are going to have some problems. And so this is a very, very big deal. And I'm thrilled to be interviewing David Blackman as well as Robert Bryce this Thursday live on LinkedIn and YouTube. So, with that, like, subscribe, reach out to Steve Reese and the gang over there at reeseenergyconsulting.com. And again, thank you all very much. We are so appreciative for just the huge amount of volume reading on energynewsbeat.co as well as theenergynewsbeat.substack.com. Also, if you want to know, what are you, how does your portfolio look like? Are you investing in things? Fill out our investment survey and we'll send you over to the team there and let you visit with them as well too. At least let you know how we're doing it. So with that, like, subscribe, share, and look forward to speaking to you all soon. Have an absolutely wonderful day.